Meantime, there's new fallout today over the firing of an editorial page writer who says she was canned for doing her job. Naomi Schaefer Riley wrote for the Chronicle of Higher Education until she penned a piece that criticized the value of Black Studies programs at U.S. campuses across this country. Some of the readers were outraged. And despite the paper's initial response that her piece was an invitation to debate, in the end, they axed her. Now, Mrs. Schaefer Riley is here with us. Naomi, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So what's your beef with Black Studies programs?
Well, the blog that I wrote was in response to a piece that appeared in the Chronicle that touted some young Black Studies scholars and their dissertations. And I looked at the topics that they were studying, and they seemed to me less than academically rigorous. Mostly they were partisan in the sense that they blamed anything that was wrong with the Black community on whites and institutional racism. But some of them were just perfectly, seemed like perfectly irrelevant and obscure topics. A history of Black midwifery. I mean, is that really something we need to be training people to get PhDs in? Is that going to be, those people going to be able to give our undergraduates a broad liberal arts education someday? And
there was one about Clarence Thomas with which you took issue,
yes.
Supreme Court Justice.
Right, there was an entire dissertation blaming Black conservatives for, and I quote, an assault on civil rights. That you can't be a Black conservative now. You could write an entire dissertation and get a degree from Northwestern University, a PhD, just for saying, Thomas Sowell and Clarence Thomas are assaulting civil rights because they don't believe in affirmative action.
So you took issue with this area of study, yes. Saying, look, I've got some questions about its legitimacy.
Yes.
And that was the post you wrote.
Yes.
Now, the readers, some, were outraged. And at first, the paper stood by you and said, look, this First Amendment, the point is to discuss. This is what we do.
Right.
And then what happened?
Well, so there were hundreds of readers, commenters who wrote in saying I'm a racist. This shouldn't be here. There was a petition with 7,000 signatures of academics online demanding that the Chronicle fire me. And on Thursday, the Chronicle editor said, well, we think this is a provocative piece, but this is an invitation to debate. So that was Thursday. A long weekend goes by, and by Monday night, I was fired. I can't tell you what happened at the Chronicle in the interim, but it seemed like they caved to public pressure. These people who were calling me names and and saying horrible things about me. The Chronicle, I guess, just couldn't take the pressure.
And now you've been tarred with this brush of racism, that you are somehow a racist because you took issue with this particular area of study. You did not mention it in your pieces, in your defense, but I will tell our viewers that you are married to a Black man.
Yes.
And yet, nonetheless, you stand here accused of being a racist against Blacks.
Yes, it's because, racism, in this case is employed as a charge for anybody who disagrees with the liberal orthodoxy on the issue of race. And, so race studies and Black studies on college campuses have become a political cause. They're not an academic discipline where you get to ask questions. They're a cause where we already know the answers, and the answer is always, if you criticize us, you're a racist. And it seems to me that, if you don't have a substantive response to what I'm saying, and by the way, I should make totally clear that I did not engage in any kind of ad hominem attacks on these graduate students. I did not call them names or anything of the sort. This was an attack on an academic discipline, and this kind of response to me demonstrates that there is no legitimacy here. If this is your response, it's so weak. Why should I then go and believe that this is a substantive area of study?
It may be weak, but what the Chronicle did to you and what the commentators did was effective, because there's few things worse than being called a racist. It gets thrown around a lot today. Yes. People are watering that term down because some are using it so
yes.
frequently. But you get tarred with that label,
yes.
and now you're stuck with it.
Yes.
And do you think that that's a deterrent from others who will follow later, who want to write something that's critical of something as charged as this?
Right. I think, basically what the idea is, the academics have now circled their wagons, and they have suggested, these are the appropriate things to say in the realm of academia, and anything else, we're going to just, spew you out. It's like the academic body is allergic to any kind of dissent on these issues, and for anybody who dares to think freely or weigh in on these issues, they have sent a very clear message.
Naomi, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All the best to you.